he had the high waisted pants, the fur hat, the t-shirt, cinched. I was like, woo! I was like, let me get these pounds off of me so I can look like Monroe.
I left my stomach at the house, and when I got home,
Baby.
I put it back on.
You can do that?
When you got the coin.
Oh, well, damn. Let me step it up there. Man. I know that either.
Hey, community, it's JMonroe from Straight Gay, as well as the international photographer extraordinaire. What's brewing today?
The Renaissance man, JMonroe.
And y'all ain't shit.
And Black Men Fashion. So get your cups ready for Minoritea Report.
Hey, welcome to Minority Report. It's Auntie Carell.
It's Auntie Dewan.
And it's Auntie Jarrell. Hey, y'all. How y'all doing today?
Doing good, boo. Hey, Jarrell, you got that mustache looking crispy there, boo.
You know, let me tell you, I'm this close to like shaving it or something.
Why?
because it's tickling my nose, and it's like all up on my lip. But I feel like Steve Harvey though. Like,
it is giving a little Steve
I ain't
Harvey.
gonna lie
I'm not
though.
gonna lie.
Like, I feel like I need to eat somebody's ass with this mustache, and that's not even my ministry. So,
okay, later.
That's how you get it, though, right?
Right, exactly.
Little remnants, but my bad.
Yo,
But anyway.
She
Look,
said,
I'm changing like the leaves on the trees, y'all. Don't mind me.
So I guess she said I am here. Well, community, you already see on the screen if you're watching on YouTube, but if you're on the audio, maybe not. So this is family at this point. This ain't even a guest. This is family at this point. We'll do you right. We'll give you the intro here. We have the entrepreneur, the photographer, the podcaster, and the all-around Renaissance man himself. And got no waist. Like, where's the waist at? Nowhere. We got JMonroe in the place to be from Straight Gay TV. Hey,
baby, welcome.
How you doing,
Hey,
boo?
everybody. I really appreciate you guys for having me. This is going to be exciting. And y'all are family. This is my first time on the show, but this is not my first time on the show.
No,
Right.
look,
Damn.
it's so good to see you. I literally have not seen you since we were celebrating your birthday during the photo shoot.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Like, y'all locked in with me. Y'all brought in my birthday with me, which I told y'all I appreciate it. And I haven't seen you, but that's because you haven't been out.
Yeah, because I'm on the West Coast, so I'm all the way over here in Seattle. It's been kind of hard. But I'll be there next month, though. I'm just saying, so when I'm in town next month, we're going to have to, if you in town.
Yeah, I was like, am I going to be in town?
I'll drop those dates and let you know when I'm going to be there.
Please.
We're not going to see it on the podcast, and then everybody be like, oh, Auntie Henny said she in New York this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
You saw me, but you didn't.
Right.
Right.
So what's new, boo? What's new? I mean, Dewan and I we've seen you a few times after the Glad photo shoot. So we just saw you doing CultureCon as well. So what's new, boo? You got a lot of shit going on.
I was in CultureCon doing that. Yeah, I was promoting my art show. I just premiered my very first art show in Harlem. It's called The Return of the Renaissance Man. It's going to be up until next month. So if you're in the Harlem area, check it out. It's between 123rd and Lenox, called Artful Wall Gallery. It was beautiful. I had been in Harlem for 5 months, New York for 5 years, and that was me kind of introducing myself to the Harlem community as an artist. So my friend told me, it was like, who else does an art show to introduce himself to a neighborhood? And I was like, me? Duh.
Hello.
I need them to know. And then just like a full circle moment, it was 1924 when the Harlem Renaissance started, the golden era, the roaring 20s, and we're literally 100 years marking the Harlem Renaissance, entering into it. And so that was my way of just putting my imprint on to like what I think the Harlem Renaissance is going to be in this realm that we're living in politically, pandemics, everything's kind of mirroring that time. And so I just want to make sure I'm like being the storyteller I'm supposed to be in this generation, encouraging the other artists and community to do the same.
Monroe make you feel like you ain't shit.
That. I'm like, damn, let me set my game up some more.
I mean, my mouth is just a gate
no.
at Maya
No,
Angelou over here.
I'll say this. The reason why I even did it was because I wanted to do it in 2019, but the pandemic hit because I had just moved here in August. And then in 2020, of course, the pandemic stopped. I got scammed for $3,000, so I had to run to Brooklyn and hide. So like I said, this was me returning to Harlem after like God told me to go away and cook and express myself and learn, figure out, grow, and then premiere myself to the Harlem community all over again. Mm-hmm. And then y'all know Straight Gay is still on season 2. We're babies compared to y'all.
No.
I was with Jarrell yesterday. We're filming. When I come back, we're working on season 3 already.
Yeah.
And shout out to Jarrell. He always
Shout
treats
out
us
to
good
Jarrell.
when we head down
Yeah,
there
shout out to
and
the
have
straight.
drinks and whatnot. Yeah.
You know,
Maybe
one
hold
of the
him
few
down.
straights that I hang around anymore.
Honestly, I remember when we saw you guys, I was like, so if I'm being honest, like I am like his big brother, so I was like Papa Bear mode. I was like, you're about to be around all the gays. I hope he like acts accordingly. I was trying to make sure I was ear hustling on all his conversations so he can say nothing crazy.
Be like, know your lines. Know your lines. Okay.
That.
You ain't gonna embarrass
Mark.
me in front of my new friends.
Look,
Yeah.
Not
Well,
today.
he was like, you want to get schooled to connect for? I said, say less. You part of it. Okay, we good.
Yeah, no, Jarrell, and we've seen him a couple times even since then as well. And every time we see him, it's all love every single
Yeah,
time.
he's
So no,
good vibes,
Jarrell part of the
100%.
family too. He might not be part of the girls, but he
Right
part
in
of
front
the
of
family.
the girls. Yeah.
He invited to the cookout.
Yeah.
Exactly. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So how did Straight Gay TV even come about?
Wow. So it was originally supposed to be a joke, if I'm being honest. We met in 2019 at a photo shoot because I'm a photographer, like I said, and he was modeling. And I remember when I met him, I was like, who's this loud boy? And of course, he's attractive. Of course, he was beautiful body. But I mean, for me, I was around a lot of models with beautiful bodies and beautiful faces. So he was just another face in the crowd.
Damn.
But I think,
Damn right, damn.
oh
She
Lord,
said,
that was
of course I'm around. Of course I'm around beautiful people all the time. Beautiful bodies, beautiful faces,
like a
beautiful
model.
careers, beautiful homes, beautiful countries, beautiful galaxies.
Like you said, damn, Monroe make you feel like you ain't shit.
I love it.
No. So what happened was, we connected again during the pandemic because no one was shooting, and I shot him. And then fast forward in 2020, I got him a job at a bar, so he would hang out at my spot because he lived in the Bronx. So he would travel from the Bronx to Brooklyn just to work. And I was going through a breakup one of the like times he came down, and he literally was like, I'm about to like get you out of your phone. We gonna watch TV all day. And I was like, okay. And so then he became my straight boyfriend for the time being, just to kind of get me out of my funk. And then what originally was just us watching a TV show, I was listening to our banter, and at the time I had an endorsement with a brand. We ain't saying the brand, but we had an endorsement with a brand.
Okay.
And we were going to be filming it and promoting it and potentially pitching to them. They didn't pick it up because they dropped us. But in 2023, Jarrell was like, you guys, we should really do the show. And I was like, I'm bored. Let me make up a logo. I did the logo. He was like, bro, we should really do the show. Then I was like, well, we'll do a photo shoot, see how it goes. We did the photo shoot, and the photo shoot got really, really, really big engagement on social media. So then we were like, well, damn, we should do one episode just to see what it does. And the first episode in a week, I think we got like 5K on YouTube for just like our first episode. And we were like, oh, shit. I think we kind of made up something. And then the season progressed. We were very consistent, and we promised ourselves we were going to really finish out the first season. And then by the end of the first season, we had garnered 30,000 followers on YouTube. I mean, on Instagram, and then over 105K views on YouTube. And so that's when we were like, uh-oh, I think we should do the show. And fast forward, we're doing it. We're only on season 2. The outpour of support has been very refreshing. It's interesting considering, because even to you guys' point, when we were there, we really feel like the newbies in the realm of like media and like shows and podcasts, but we already are recognizable, which is good. And to your point, I think we did definitely play up the fact of our dynamic and people kind of expecting us and thinking that we were together, even how we promoted it. Because we wanted to, one, show the community that look at what we're doing to a man who said he's straight, but just because he attached himself to a gay man, we're now forcing him to question himself, trying to make me question our friendship, question everything. And I'm like, this is why black men don't want to be around us. Y'all are attacking us. And so it's not to say that, because I don't want to go on a pedestal, but it's not to say that there's just real conversations on both ends, both the gay community and the straight community, because they call us homophobic, we call them sensitive. Well, they call us sensitive, we call them homophobic. But like for me and Jerome, we need to find a middle ground, because before we can tell black men and progress as black men, we need to come to a solid ground ourselves and go within our own communities, within our community, to express how we want to show up, so then the world can be okay with how we show up, because we've accepted and acknowledged how we as a community want to show up.
Absolutely. And it also like shows a level of vulnerability in being what it means to be a black man and creating space for all of us, right? Because that's not often a space that we get as black men to come together, to be able to just say how you feel, mean what you say, but also leave space to grow and learn at the same time without being ridiculed for not knowing what you don't know, right? And that's one of the things I really enjoy about y'all. Like it really does kind of give that sense of freedom.
To your point, I think if the show would have just been a show about two guys that people think are attractive, it wouldn't have worked. It's the fact that people see the show and they actually see the friendship, they see the dynamic, and the show is actually funny, because we really strive on being a funny show with serious undertone, because a lot of the stuff that we talk about, the stuff that we talk about, won't have to be so serious. And to your point, in order to learn, sometimes you can't make fun of yourself or make fun of somebody else, and it's easier for us to do it because he knows me and I know him, so he can poke fun at me and not poke fun at the community, but just say, oh, Monroe, you doing that's gay and that's toxic. And I can say, Jarrell, that's straight and that's toxic. And it's not, we don't have to feel attacked, because we're attacking ourselves, not the communities.
Right. Yeah.
I also love the fact that you kind of touched on this before, and I would love to hear, a little bit more, you talk a little bit more about this, that it does, your show actually pulls up a mirror to the black gay community, because there's a lot of objectifying and that goes on in our communities, and a lot of assumptions that people are making, the wannabe assumptions that they want to make around other people, specifically straight people, and especially if there's a certain level of attractiveness, etc. Talk a little bit about like that experience.
So yeah, it's honestly, it's to your point. I've learned so much more about my community because of the show, because it says a lot for somebody as comfortable as Jarrell to say that sometimes he finds himself uncomfortable because he feels objectified by other men that are gay. And as positive and as open as he is, he sometimes has to, and this is what he shared with me at least, finds himself closing off, just because, to your point, we can be very boisterous because we are men. And I think there is, within our own community, I find myself trying to have to create boundaries within the gay community. So I can only imagine how it is to try to be an ally, or to try to be someone who is just respecting of all, but still feeling like even with that boundary, you're still being challenged. And I think it makes me question sometimes if we understand that everybody can be a bully, and everybody can be like, and respecting boundaries does not have to correlate with he being misogynist, he's being extra misogynist, or he's doing et cetera, just because he's created a boundary. And like I said, I've said this on one of our episodes. For me, it's upsetting just because people come to me all the time and they're challenging our friendship, who he is to me. And I always question, I'm like, when people come to me, oh, is he really gay? Oh, y'all mess around, so and so and third. I'm like, you think my loyalty is not going to be to Jarrell? Like, why are you asking me something like that? Because at the end of the day, we do have a real relationship outside of this show, and that's why it works. And so you coming to me as if I'm going to be keying with you just because we gay. No, that's a real relationship that I value, just like I value any other relationship, and you should respect it.
And I do feel like sometimes there is a double standard within the gay community. So like, and I'll expand this to the whole queer community, the LGBTQIA community. Like, there is so much out there about you need to respect, my pronouns, how I identify, etc. But we don't do the same, and we will kiki with each other. Well, y'all will kiki with each other because Auntie Char don't play that. But they will kiki with each other about, I love turning straight men gay and da 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 and doing all this. And And to get to those kinds of points, we'll do some really foul shit. And if that's what people are actually doing physically to other people, like, getting them so drunk and taking advantage of them and doing all these other kind of, and then laughing about it, like, like this is, like it's a joke.
I got me a straight one, y'all. I turned them out.
It's not a joke. It's not a joke. And like, yeah, men are, for the most part, very sexually driven, but that needs to begin and end at yourself and not be imposed on other people. And we've got some work to do in our own community to unpack why we expect a certain level of treatment towards us, but then we will flip around and, like, go after a straight guy or talk about straight guys in this kind of like, oh, it don't matter because I'm just gay and I'm just playing around, but it does matter.
Because I think we've become so used to being the victims, which rightfully so, I understand, because a lot of us weren't able to express ourselves until we got to a certain point in our lives. But to your point, we got to consistently, and this has nothing to do with sexuality. This, as a person, as a human, look at yourself in the mirror and identify the things that you want to grow in yourself and the things that you need to heal in order to make you a better person. And I think sometimes we get so stuck, because that's just what America has kind of done, in my opinion. It makes it easier for people to just become victims in whatever group they occupy or whatever space they occupy. And so they lean so much into it because it makes them validate their experiences, and it makes you feel like you can, what's the word I wanted to use? It makes you feel like you can challenge the social norms because you weren't able to be the most free version of yourself, when ultimately you're only not free because, yes, your circumstances didn't allow you to be as free as you wanted to be, but you could still be free.
And also, too, just a reminder that, like, your lived experiences also aren't everyone else's lived experience. Like, coming out could have been XYZ for you. So just because someone isn't having the same experience doesn't mean that you both are the same. Because, like, for instance, I think about how, because I hang out with a lot of straight guys myself as well, because I'm huge into sports, and I love to be like the only gay in the room, to be like, I want to challenge this toxic masculinity. So I hang out with a lot of gay straight men, and then when they tend to come into gay spaces with me, so when they tend to come in gay spaces with me, and I introduce to my gay friends that this is a straight man, they like to say, oh, that's a waste, or like, oh, that's a shame, and stuff like that. And I'm like, but everyone don't have to be gay. Like, you like, why can't they still just be as dope as they are as is, without it being something negative that they aren't on the same page or in the same boat as you?
And something that I say often, and I actually said this on our episodes called Riding the Metrosexual. We talked about being a metrosexual and if that correlates to being gay or straight, and why are we trying to limit or put a position on if a man takes care of himself. I said, we always hear from the queer community sometimes, oh, all these dudes are gay, all these dudes are so and so. Well, if we also are saying that sexuality is a spectrum, then can't you be straight? Isn't that just as fair?
Yeah.
And they'd be like, you ain't never know if you never tried it. Well, have you ever tried it?
Look,
and if you have tried it and you didn't like it, okay, that there is that spectrum. But I'm like, there is a real conversation,
right? And the amount of these girls who haven't been with women as well too, like, but you didn't try that though.
So let it be a spectrum, and then when a person identifies where they are on the spectrum, you should respect it. Don't challenge it unless the person, like, and even if you feel like that's an inkling, get to know a person before the sex thing, because sex is a small piece of a relationship. I mean,
if they change too, what if one day they
identify?
That's debatable. That's debatable. Wait a minute. Let's talk about that spectrum one more time.
Right. But one other almost flip side of it, though, too, is just like, even from the straight side of it, like, what I enjoy seeing is, especially within the Black community, we need that relationship between straight and gay Black men. And especially in times right now where we see we're in election year and things like that, and sometimes that friction that kind of comes out of it, of maybe potentially voting for a candidate that's going to directly impact our community. And whether it be being able to get married, whether it be get the services we need if we're in the transgender community, et cetera, and there's a whole host of it. But what I like is building those friendships, because I too have, like, few of my best friends in the world to this day are straight men, and and having that relationship and that vulnerability to be able to say, hey, I know you're thinking that. I know that might be prevalent in your world, but here's how that impacts my world. And being able to have that closeness and that vulnerability to have those conversations is much needed, and the visibility of that is much needed. So that's what I genuinely enjoy, because those conversations, even though they're had maybe behind the scenes, I think they need to be a little more visible when it's maybe the queer world and the straight world coming together.
Merge.
And we still might not agree on everything, but at least having those conversations and being respectful for the different opinions.
For sure.
I would love to know, like, if for somebody who's never had the opportunity to watch your show, what's something surprising that they can expect to see?
Well, I tell you guys all the time, a lot of people do think we're a podcast, but when they see the show, it really is a full production. It's a show. It's a game. We have games.
Drag
we have
us.
slide-in. No.
Y'all ain't shit. That's the title of the episode this week.
With their little podcast.
No. Only because I think when they actually see the show there and they understand why you need to see us, and that is not because the visual of it, but no, it's just because the interaction, it's that brotherhood that you need to see. That's why the show is important. That's why I'm like, no, you can hear the conversation, but to see the relationship in front of you, it makes you understand it, and you find yourself really wanting to feel like, oh, we're part of this friendship, we're a part of this, and that's why we call our audience our allies. Because if we're all allies and we're all trying to make ourselves a better person, then we all are trying to push to become a better human.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
That's a whole word. So, Monroe, we had you on this week because I saw something on your stories and community. You know, last week and it was coming out day, and a lot of places coming out weekend. Like here in Philadelphia, it's a huge weekend every year for coming out day. And so you put something out there that said, quote, if we want to normalize being gay, then eventually National Coming Out Day can stop being a thing. I have my own thoughts around it, but that's all I'll say. So I was like, okay, that's all you say.
Time to shake the table.
Right, exactly. So we need you to say a little more. But I guess it kind of just poses the question, is National Coming Out Day still important? Do we want it to eventually disappear, go away? Is that the end goal? Or in times like now, do we actually still want something like that, even if we are, quote unquote, normalized in society? So maybe Monroe, we'll start with you because that was your thought there in the story.
Well, firstly, yes, I did say that. the post was mine. And the reason why I even said it like that was because I knew there would be so much more conversation around it, and I didn't want to get too deep into it. I was just making I like to poke the bear and hide the hand sometimes, I'm not gonna lie.
She'd be like,
but to answer your question though, is it still relevant? Yes, it's still necessary just because, and I mean, look at the world we're living in. The fact that we're still having certain laws in certain cities and states that are minimizing the experience. It's definitely necessary. But like I said, eventually, if we really want to call ourselves normalizing it, then I feel like at some point, no, because for me, and I'll just come from my experience and my story. Did I come out to my parents? Yes. I came out to my parents when I was a sophomore in college. And when I told my mom and my dad, of course, there was the emotions of it all. But, and I remember, and I'll tell you guys this because I don't tell the story too much. I didn't eat for like 2 days after I told my mom just because I was like so numb. I was like, I really just did something I thought I would never do. Never, ever do. And so I was just like numb. And my mom would like come check on me. You good? I'm fine. Like, because I was in my room in a cover, like just holding myself because it was so uncomfortable to finally come out to a space like that. But I remember when I did come out the day of, she told me to tell my dad, and my dad said something that I think resonates and echoes in my ear consistently. He was like, first, it's nobody's business who you're having sex with unless they're in your bed, period. And he says, because the first thing I also was like, because I have 8 siblings, and we're all very close. I'm like, well, do I tell my siblings? And he was like, you don't have to tell nobody unless you want to tell somebody. And when he said that, I don't know exactly what was all underlining in that. But as I've gotten older, of course, I had my own idea around what that would look like. And for me, it was like to that point. My siblings didn't have to tell my parents they were having sex with so and so, or they had to make this announcement they were there. They like girls. So why did I feel like I had to do that? And so when I brought up the prompt for myself, it's that same thought. Y'all, if we really are normal, which I think loving a person is very normal.
Mm-hmm.
Why do I have to feel the need to announce the to the world, to the top of the mountains on Facebook or on my college stage that, oh, I'm gay, to make that validation? Now I understand where it comes from, because when you're told that you can't be something for so long, you can easily attach yourself to an identity because you feel like that was an identity that you were not able to fulfill. And so you lean into that. But I don't think by doing that, you can, I understand doing that, but I think even when you take ownership of whatever that is, be okay and understand that that's still just a part of you. Because the thing about me is I'm very interested beyond being gay. Very interesting. And being gay is the least interesting thing about me, because for real, you even know what I'm doing in my bed unless, like I said, you're there. So, though I do understand
for $10.99
coming soon, allegedly. I forgot somebody was on the call. But no, it was so. But to that point, it's like, though, yes, I understand why we still need it. I don't know when it's going to be I don't know when it happens. I hope I'm able to see it, but I do think there should be a point where coming out day shouldn't be a thing. Now, you can still commemorate the idea of it, but the focus that we have on it and the celebration of it all, I'm like, y'all, it's okay. Yeah, we came out. Okay, you like penis in the butt.
Yeah, you know, and it's also too, like, it's also just a reminder too that, you know, coming out is as a solo journey, and so like it really just depends on the individual. You know, some people want to do like that one full sweep and just be like, bitch, yes, I'm gay, and then have no more other conversations. And some people are like, I'm just gonna just be myself, and if people ask me, then I'll answer, I'll respond, you know. But to your point, like, I agree. Like, it would be beautiful at some point where coming out isn't a huge thing. But, you know, I think there will always be people, because it is such a solo experience, that are going to have that fear that may prevent them from wanting to just naturally feel comfortable to just do it without the fear of repercussions, without the fear of maybe losing the people that they currently love, that pay a big role in who they are today, which is part of that struggle of sometimes coming out. You know, like, what if my parents don't accept me? What if my siblings don't? Like, now my life is going to change, right? So I think part of that, of the coming out experience, will always be there. So that means I think there will always be someone who would need to see someone else coming out to just give them that little push to be like, and so can you. But I don't think it's something that everyone needs to do, if that makes sense.
So I had a question around that, because social media and media itself is becoming so much more inclusive. Like, we see it. It's like, we have our own streaming services that are only creating gay content. We have streaming services that are showing primarily Afro work, or like, we have so many different platforms that are only becoming larger and larger, especially with AI. So I only ask, I guess, with the way the world's working, do you not think there's going to be a place where there are going to be so many visual identifications of people and how coming out can look, for that to, again, not be the case? Because in my head, if we're trying to grow as a society, I think it'll be more beneficial if we focus on, to that point, figuring out how to make it so a lot more normal, because the idea of it is just sex, and which I have a whole nother conversation around when does a person should be talking about sex, and when should kids be experimenting and talking through it. But I think, to your point, when a kid starts thinking about it early, that's when it becomes a fear, because they don't know. And you're afraid of things that you don't know majority of the time, and so that's why you're afraid to come out.
Yeah, I feel like, and it's interesting because when you posted this, it was the day before what I'm about to tell right now. So again, I said Philly is a big, like, coming out day weekend. It's almost like another Pride here. And so Saturday night, I ran into someone that an acquaintance that I knew from Market Days last year, met for him, and he's from small town America still, works in small town America. in Wisconsin, on the border of Wisconsin in Minnesota, and he saw me at one of the events in the weekend. He's like, "Oh my God, it's so good to see a familiar face." And like literally, like in that moment, he's like, "I'm so glad that the city has a coming out day because it allowed me to fly from Wisconsin down here to visit some friends, go to these events because I don't have that sense of community in my small town." And that's what made me say, it's such a privilege for me to be out and visible. And whether I scream it from the mountaintop or say it to nobody, there's a spectrum of privilege that now comes with it still that I've been able to come along into that journey. So it kind of almost changed my thought a little bit on the question, because I'm like, here I am out, titties out for God, Daisy Dukes on, whatever, super comfortable. And that's like pretty much, your week in, week out living in Philly, New York, or the larger areas. But there are still folks that live in small town America, even if they are out, that don't have that sense of community and things like that. So even if we want to normalize it, I think what also we miss out on is the sense of community. The amount of people that flew into Philadelphia, the amount of people that were out and about congregating. Yes, there's the sex stuff, but there's all other stuff. There's parades, there's booths, there's families like with their kids there with like the rainbows on and everything. There's such a spectrum that I think a lot of times we hyper focus on the sex part of it because that's what's out there, that's what makes it glamorous, and that's what makes us feel good at the end of the day, quite frankly. But
if you do it right.
I know that's right. but it made me realize, Crow, you're privileged in this space right now because I didn't even think about it. I just wanted to go out and have some drinks and dance with some music. And for him to pull me aside to see me, because I didn't even see him, he's like, "Carell," and I'm like, "Oh, hey, damn," And for him to have that moment and the music going, to have that moment, I was like, "Oh shit! Oh, that's what these weekends are about. This is what these days are about. These are what these nudges are about." Because I would always see like the coming out day when I wasn't hadn't been out yet, and I'm like, "Okay, this year is going to be the day I'm going to do it because it just gives me the courage to do it." And I never could, but it might be that gentle nudge or that big push that someone else needs. So again, like I just think sometimes for us that have maybe been out long, whether we screamed it or not screamed it, we sometimes forget when we weren't out, and some of the, like you were saying, Jarrell, some of those fears and things like that, and the sense of community that a lot of folks just don't have. Even if they have it on social media and it's highly visible, there's still something about being in community in person that just certain spots in the country and the world just simply doesn't have yet. And quite frankly, I don't know if I anymore. We fought so long to be seen as normal, but I in some ways we're losing our sense of community too sometimes. Like especially this was my Bad Queers thing this year on Bad Queers Pod. I'm tired of seeing straight women in the club pushing me out the way at my own spot. There's this sense of community that like gets lost sometimes. And yes, we want to all be seen as one, but sometimes you still need your sense of community. That's why we have a podcast like this. Like there's so many gay podcasts out there, but we said, no, we need one just for the black and brown because, we see each other. So I think there's always going to be that space. And it doesn't mean like we always want to exclude ourselves, but sometimes there's just some unspoken words that you just need within the queer community that you just don't want everyone to be in on the gag.
I think the ultimate goal would be to JMonroe's point, though, honestly, it not be a thing. I think
I don't know if I want that, though. That's what I'm saying.
But I think it would be great because of the fact that it would just mean that there's a sense of freedom for everybody, right? Like if you get to that point, that means everyone's able to live a life that doesn't require that. I don't think we'll ever get there, but it would be nice that everyone has the option to just be like, "Well, this is who I am, cool, no big deal, keep it moving." That would be nice. Sorry, Dewan.
Were you going to say, Dewan?
I would say that, like, in my vision of an ideal world, that sexual attraction and, masculine, feminine, and everything in between outward expression becomes less of a topic of conversation and just becomes the way that things are. And so that means, you don't have to come out. You don't have to invite in. You date who you want. There's no kind of like expectations of what it needs to be. You just exist. And that doesn't mean to say like identity doesn't matter, but I think in the context of those things which have been so weaponized and so politicized, and there's been so much ostracism for people who are not like the majority underneath those categories, that I think for me the vision would be that no longer becomes an issue, that people can just be who they are. And I still think more to the point of, well, I'll say two things really quickly. Corel, to your point around kind of like, straight people and more specifically straight white women in Black queer spaces. I think there is a desire at this point. We are not at a place in our society, within our communities, where there is enough of that psychological safety, that community, that acceptance, etc. That I think the desire to have our own and to have protected spaces is still important. And again, if I were to future focus, 100 years from now, whatever, in a world where, one's sexual identity, or preference or whatever, is no longer a thing that needs to be protected. You have the ability to just be who you are and go where you go. That need for those kinds of spaces become less and less important, and so you just are able to exist, and you can move in and out of things, and out of spaces that you vibe with. So I think there's that. And I think to the other end, about the question of, does this day need to, what's the end goal with a day? I think there is, even when you don't, let's just again use that same scenario of, where sexual identity is not so much a label that we put on ourselves, we just be, right? I think having historical context for these kinds of days help remind us of the journey that we've had to get to where we are, and, that it's still important to protect those precious things. And so, while coming out day might mean something different in 100 years or in that kind of like vision, I think the historical relevance of that day will still be important, for many of those reasons.
I mean, what you said is actually, if I can piggyback, yes, and it's that very fact of, now, if coming out day becomes a form of freedom and expression and all, I would love that. But I think my biggest concern and fear is that point of, if we're only connecting it to the idea of sex and who I'm having sex with, that's just small. Now, if we start, to your point, years from now, it becomes something and it means something more, because to that point, I think community is important, right? And being able to create those spaces for us to find people that are like-minded and feel the same way we feel and resonate with certain things and traits are important. And as we all know, the queer community is very colorful, very expressive. If we lean into that and let that be the coming out of it, freedom and expression, that would be, in my head, more validating to say, oh, this is my coming out day because I'm expressing myself in my most authentic way. But if it's only just rooted in who I'm having sex with, I mean, why are we still talking about this?
I mean,
just go to X for that.
No, just fair.
Just go to X for that. Look.
The same thing.
Oh my God.
We see each other. But no. I mean, it was a good question, and honestly, I mean, I love questions like this because you're going to have the spectrum of responses to it, and for those that are listening that are saying, and honestly, I just saw a post. What's the actor's name from the Upshaws?
Jamel Simon.
Just use that day as the nudge to come out publicly. So I think as of now, it's still important. It might be that push, but like DeJuan was saying, that envisionment of 100 years, hopefully it's 2 years. I mean, depends on this election. Vote. If you ain't registered to vote, vote.gov. Thank you very much. Double check that registration.
But like, I kind of equate questions like that to, I mean, take it one step further. What about Black History Month? Let us assume that we're in a space let us assume that, again, we are in a space where, the notion of race and racial divide, because race is a man-made construct, and, delineating people by, by certain kinds of lineage and melanin expression and all these kind of
right.
things that are beyond the individual's control, right? Is if we put ourselves in that situation, it's like, okay, well, let's assume that, there are no more racial issues, in this fictitious, world that hopefully we will someday get to. Do we get rid of, Black History Month? Do we get rid of, like Juneteenth? Well, again, that's where the historical relevance of where we've been continues to remind us of where, how far we've come, and, the richness of our shared history around that particular, around those particular experiences. It might evolve to less of, did you know? And it's more of, did you know?
The boy,
Black History Month was made by Carter G. Woodson, for the record. Move to the bros. But no, to your point, I think, yes, all of that. Holidays in general are interesting, just because to that point, even like Mother's Day, we should be celebrating our mothers every day. We should be celebrating our fathers every day. We should be celebrating certain things, like certain holidays. I do kind of like, and this is just because also this is how I was raised. My dad don't celebrate a lot. My mom celebrates everything. My dad celebrates nothing. And it's that same mindset of like, we should be celebrating certain things every day. There shouldn't be a limit on how we're celebrating certain things. And when you put a focus on it. Now, I do appreciate even historic pieces to it, because if we're saying that we can use these days as a reference point for American history, because all these days are important in American history, that's okay. But yeah, I don't think, well, actually it's the question, do we say then, because it's also most of the time only important within the community that it holds. Because let's be honest, how many white people on average do you know are really celebrating Black History Month the way that we're celebrating Black History Month?
I mean, there's a few.
All right.
Exactly. But to your point, it's a few, but it's a national holiday.
The question was, how many do we know? The question was, how many do we know? And that's what we were like, well.
But here's the thing, though. Like, a lot of times, though, in that regard, it's minority groups making days or situations because others wouldn't. And so whether it's a coming out day, whether it's a Pride Month, whether it's Black History Month, whether it's Indigenous Peoples Day, whatever it may be, is solely because others weren't seeing the importance of said group, said whatever it may be. So that's why, to me, it's still important to put the focus, because even though should is the word, they don't. Folks don't. and for now, unfortunately,
we're far gone from that.
Exactly. We got to deem ourselves special, whether it's our racial identity, our sexual identity, whatever it may be. We think we superpowers. And so until others deem that, these days, these months, whatever it is going to be, are, at least for me, important. And even if it's a mother's, some people hate the mothers, but I love my mother, so guess what? Even though I tell her every day, on that extra day, she's getting something a little extra special, so it is what it is, Yeah.
So do you see it more like, then, Corel, like, as a way to educate those who may not be part of the community, and using those days as a way to just say, hey, for those who may not fit into this part of the community, here's a day where you can acknowledge those around you who do identify, because if you're doing it for yourself, then it, at the end of the day, then it wouldn't really matter about it being a superpower, because it's just for you.
I think it's secondary. I think it's me acknowledging folks within my community. It doesn't necessarily be me acknowledging myself. It's me acknowledging others within my community. Okay. And then it's secondary if other people want to educate themselves. And like we said, we ain't Google free. So maybe even third or fourth.
With the coming out day, for me, if I was so passionate about my coming out day, wouldn't I celebrate the day I came out? Like, are you celebrating the day you came out?
Do it.
Yeah, do both. Celebrate it all.
Exactly. And
give me a holiday.
Like, nobody's saying no.
Yeah.
What day did you come out? Do you remember?
I do.
Me?
I did. It was on my 18th birthday, January 2nd, 2006. It was on that birthday. It was on my 18th birthday. Because I knew I was old enough. Because I knew at that point, because my mom said you ain't grown until you turn 18. So I waited until I was 18. And I said, well, guess what? I was grown now. I
You
could
said
leave.
I'm grown and I'm sucking dick, ma.
Wait, and catch this. And it was the day before her birthday, too, on top of it, because her birthday after mine. So let me tell you, she was
Period.
stank face on her
Gagged her.
birthday.
I'm done. I'm done. But community, let us know. Are there any aspects that we're missing here? We'd love to hear your thoughts on this conversation. And just either obviously we'll put probably a post up, but DM us and things like that. And we'll put it out there. Maybe there's even a community bulletin board that comes up from this. That if you want to share something, some thoughts on it, that we're sharing the next couple episodes coming up here. But quickly here, last episode we were talking about the Met Gala theme, how it's black men fashion, the dandy and things like that. But a follow up to that question is, do you guys remember like your first memory of just like black men in fashion? A lot of times we say, I remember my mom wore this. I remember my aunt wore this and things like that. But do you recall like your first just like black men in fashion, whether it's your dad, uncle, something you saw on TV?
Yeah. Church.
Ooh. Yeah, I was going to say mom was church.
Like, for me, because I felt like when the men in my family got ready for church, and I grew up Seventh-day Adventist, by the way. So, and for those of you who don't really know, it's a Protestant, it's not a Catholic, offshoot. It's a Protestant offshoot, if you will. But it's very like demure, to use a more recently resurgent term. But it's conservative in terms of, we don't have tambourines in the church. There's not a lot of like loud, music. There's a lot of like fellowship and all that kind of stuff. So,
I'm
it wasn't. I mean, I was gonna say something really, really shady, but
I'll go ahead and say it. Go ahead and say it, baby. Go ahead and say it, baby. Look.
And you be going to hell, bitch.
And I'll see you there, bitch. And I will see you there, bitch.
Sleep right through the rapture, ho.
I
am
weak. She wake up and everybody gone. Bye. Everybody gone. Like, where did y'all go? No, I'm just playing. But no, I just say that as context to say that, like, it wasn't until I was perhaps in, I think, middle school. I think it was middle school when I went to some of my cousins' churches that had like more flamboyant outfits. But I say all that to say that even when going to church, even though it was a conservative thing, like it was the first time that I recognized a real difference between like, your work clothes, your everyday clothes, and your special clothes. Like, like there was special attention paid to, making sure your shoes were shined and making sure that, your shirt was pressed and like, you had the right kind of socks on. You're not putting on gym socks, you're putting on dress socks. Like, and the men in my family set that expectation. So for me, that was like the very first thing from a manly perspective that I remember fashion being really that thing.
I mean, that's all I knew, like from birth to like, because like my parents are pastors, so like we was gonna be in, like we were gonna get them Easter Sundays like clothes. There was like church clothes. There was revival clothes. You better iron your clothes, like all of it. And then, like you said, the fashion of it, quite frankly, especially in the black church, it's kind of everything. And honestly, I think when they're gonna do this Met Gala, that's probably gonna be the bulk of at least the starting point of it, of how a lot of today's fashions grew from this. Because I'm like, you had like the cow, like I remember. So one of our family friends that we've known, I've just known my whole life, they're like literally another mom and dad to us. Mr. McDole, the swag, even to this day, like he had a stroke a couple years, but he still got this swag about the way he dressed and walked and everything. That's one of the first ones where I'm like, man, Mr. McDole is fresh. Like just the way like it was always like a 3-piece suit, the tie, the hat, the shades. He always had a truck.
That jacket over there, bam,
baby. And like just the way the crease in the front, the way the pant felt on the like just right above the shoe, like Stacey Adams, all of it. Yeah. And so like that's all I knew. That's all I knew for the longest time was like, okay, that's where you really show out. Yes, you want to show out in school because like that's where my mom comes to play because she just loves to dress to this day. So that's where some of it come from. But like for the dudes, it was church, period. Like everything else, okay, you look all right. But church, you was about to show out. And whether it was the colors, whether it was the socks, whether it was the church robes, all of it was like, at least the first part of my life, where I stemmed of like, that's what I want to achieve or strive to, because that's fresh.
For sure, church. But I think for me, something that I think resonated the most was the barber shop, because I used to get the barber shop with my dad, and so you would just see the different characters and the different shapes and different sizes of men coming in their own style. And then of course, this was back in the 90s where you just dress up anyway. So to go into to the barber and then you come out even more fresh. It was, and I remember there was this one particular barber. He was like my gay awakening. I know he was.
And that was gonna be a question later on.
He was the flyest barber. He would always come, and he had like that genuine fade that had the goatee, and he would always had like a clean go. Like for me, that was like, because the suits were, of course, like I grew up in Oklahoma, which is Bible Belt, Tulsa. Like older families, so that was what we were doing. My mom would take us to church, take us to take pictures. So dressing up in the suits were just like, oh, we're doing that when we're trying to do something official. I think the things that I related to, especially as an artist, was seeing the different kinds of styles within men at the barbershop and being able to identify certain styles and certain aesthetics based on how they presented themselves, and even more interesting how they were perceived by the rest of the men and what they were wearing. Because then you would also see, even back then, somebody who was a little bit more flamboyant come in, and you would see the reaction of what that would look like. And so for me, I was put in language to that, especially at the same time watching television, being able to relate to, oh, that's a guy I would see as like an usher. Oh, that's a guy who's like a genuine. And so able to identify these people in my real life with the people that I was trying to, I'm not going to say emulate, but I saw on the television, and for me, what I wanted to see myself in, to be like, oh, this is something that's not too far off from my reality.
What about you, baby?
See, for me, like, yes, going to church was probably the most opportunity I got to try to do something different, but I didn't feel like it was actually me having the opportunity to express my creative self using clothes, if that makes sense. For me, I was fortunate enough, my Uncle Vaughn actually styled the movie Purple Rain. And so I got to see my uncle make clothes for Prince.
Whoa. I'm a Prince fan. Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa. What?
Yeah, so my uncle Vaughn made clothes for Prince for the movie Purple Rain and continued to style Prince until like literally up until he passed away. And so it's technically my mom's uncle, so he's like a great uncle, but still family. And so I got to see this black man, this straight black man at that as well too. Okay, like style this celebrity and get to make all these different patterns and clothes and stuff like that. And that was my mom's like favorite uncle. Like that was her like idol. So I naturally was inspired by my own mom to be outside of the box. So my mom was buying me wild different clothes that my other friends weren't wearing and stuff like that. And I low key always hated it because I was, like we talked about, coming out, and I didn't want to be called gay, and I didn't want to stick out. So I actually ran in that moment. Right. So I actually like suppressed a lot of that like creativity that was given to me at a very young age, because I was like, no, I don't suck dick. I don't like guys. I don't do any of that stuff. Right. But I still was surrounded and was encouraged to like just do other things and to make my clothes. I was probably 8 years old when I made my first pair of pants. Like, and also because we went through homelessness and stuff like that too, we also had to get creative. So when we had these tools to be able to design and create clothes and stuff like that, it also just kind of became part of our identity as well. But the issue that I had is I didn't have the creative vision for it. So I was never the person that was like, ooh, I see this fabric, I want to put this and I want to make this. That was just, I never got to that point. But I always was around people who had that ministry, who had that ability to see something, create something dope. So for me, it started at a very young age, just literally growing up the whole entire time, just watching people in my family just make all these dope, cool ass shit. So, yeah.
Yeah, I love it. And I mean, like, and even to this day, like, dress is so critically important to the black man, you know? And so, like, I'm still excited to see what this Gala A, the exhibit's going to look like. So I'm super excited about that. But I'm also excited and waiting anxiously to see what the actual theme is going to be for the carpet. Because I don't want no damn appropriation, so it's a very thin line.
If one white person
gonna
says
say
with finger waves,
Baby.
look. And actually, so I also wanted to add in there too. So, Carell, remember when I was saying about finger waves? I remember what inspired me to want finger waves. It was the movie Holiday Heart. Seeing Ving Rhames and honestly, like watching this black man be very gay and have these finger waves in his head. Yes. And my sister, my mom, like my family liked that movie. So the fact that like I wanted as well too, and they were like, okay, cool, like go for it. I'm like, how y'all really didn't know I was gay? I don't know. Like, it came from Holiday Heart. Like,
I was like, especially from that movie.
Honey, baby.
Yeah. And wait, when did you watch that?
I was, again, I mean, it came out in 2000, so I was 12, so I was like 14. Yeah, that lines with it.
I know that. That's right.
That's great.
That's where the finger waves came from, that movie.
Is there anyone like currently that you're like super inspired by?
Fashion-wise?
Fashion men and men.
Black men.
For sure. I love Domingo. Love his style. Love.
Yes.
Usher. Usher's always been a style god to me. I literally,
especially Usher in the last few years, like he's found
Usher my whole life.
The whole life, but like I feel like he's finally found something
His
that's
pocket.
Like
That's
he's always had
uniquely
great
him.
style, but he just feel extra like ooh. Like lately, I'm like Usher, baby.
And something that I also like always thought my dad was cool, like as far as like how he dressed. Like he's a guy, he's an entrepreneur himself as well, and he's very much so. I can wear a hoodie and a sweats in my office because I'm the boss. And for me, that's always just been like, why not? I can wear some sweats. And so, and to go back to Usher though, since you asked for celebrities, there was an episode on his crib where he was like, he would only wear a V-neck like once or twice and then get rid of it. And that is literally why I wear V-necks, because of Usher. And I love the way a V-neck fits, wears, looks. And y'all know I love to show my chest. Like, it's always out.
Because it looks nice.
It's always out.
And do.
So the V-neck, I think it's so classic. Even when we have like silhouettes that I can like do a deep cut V. Prince was also very much so. That's why when you just said that, it really gagged me. My mom was a huge fan of Prince. Her room used to be purple. She wore a purple dress, and I think that was conceived of Prince. So like I think that's a whole another thing in its own mind. But to your point, something that you said that I think was interesting. I was the same kind of person where I was like, I don't want to dress like this because I don't want to be perceived too gay. But then I would still put on the most tight T-shirts, but then still the most tight pants. Because I was like, a part of my life and my journey in my life has always just been like, even though I didn't want to show up, I didn't know how to be anybody else but myself. So it was hard for me not to show up, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it was like...
I was about to say, it's funny you say that. I remember... Because I was the same way. Like, especially a lot of it came from my mom. My mom always had us dressed. And so I was even thinking about this recently. I was like, why do I like clothes so much? And I'm like, it has to be something that was just instilled young from my mom. But I remember the first time wearing something where I was like, oh, that might be too much. And like, it was in high school, and like it was for photo day. I'll never forget it. Like I had like, because if you look at the history of my photos, I would always wear maybe like a little chain with something, and I think it was either sophomore or junior year where I was just like, oh no, I think they're gonna say this is gay. And I don't know why. And to this day, I almost have this visceral reaction when I see that particular photo. I didn't give photos out that year, and I look back and it's not even bad, but for rural Michigan, it stood out too much. Like, and it was like, because I worked at the Buckle at the time, and so I had like
them jeans at the Buckle.
They were phenomenal at that time. They were fire.
It was very white.
And it was like this tight turtleneck, Ralph Lauren turtleneck, bright ass orange, and I wore these like shades.
Wait, the video shades,
baby. Well, it was like the '90s, so the '90s shades were a little smaller. So I was looking like, I don't know, like some Aaliyah shit. And I remember getting that photo back, like, oh my God, I think I just outed myself. I remember, I've never told this story to anyone.
You
this is the first time
picture
I've ever told this.
Right now.
Yeah,
I don't have it. Actually, I think I might have it in my phone. I remember thinking, oh no. Oh,
you say he didn't share with nobody. You want to share him with the world?
I mean, I will now. It is what it is. But I remember that's the first time I was like, I had correlated that other people in my school are not wearing this. And so, like, it's weird to think about certain stuff like that. Like, so, like you're saying, I don't want to be seen. I felt seen in that moment to myself.
Exposed.
Baby. Vulnerable. And a turtleneck at that, though. Like, but it was something about just the way I styled it and put them damn shades on, too. That was like, I am doing the most. And oh, no.
I was going to say, there was an era, and y'all tell me, how was y'all college experience? I went to an HBCU, so I will say when I was going into my HBCU, that's when I got into my suit bag. Like, because, business casual Tuesdays and being on a campus is literally a fashion show every day. I remember distinctly, for 4 years of my life, I didn't even own a pair of tennis shoes because I was wearing penny loafers and everything else beyond, like suited and booted every day. And I was wearing a suit and tie every single day.
Yes,
and that's what cultivated, I guess, the GQ style. Because going to an HBCU, that's another avenue where you're just seeing so many different people from different parts of the world dressing themselves up in what they think is their best garments. I say think very strongly.
I was in the Air Force, the original Air Force One days, and I was like same height now, but $170, wearing like 2XLs and shit. That was the era I was in college.
The white tees.
The white tees, the Iniche, the FUBU. That was like where I was at in college for a while.
Oh, we were going business casual. I was in the era when we were going to the club in business casual wear.
Damn, that's them days. That was after my college.
I remember the day that I realized that I really couldn't do urban wear. And this is
what day?
This was
yesterday.
This was yes.
Wait, was it?
It was.
Wait,
I went to a family function. This was in the 90s, so this was like I was like middle school for me. I was probably 13. I just moved back from Illinois. We were living in Maple Heights, and I went to my aunt's house in Shaker Heights for like this cookout, and I wore an oversized Bart Simpson T-shirt with
those were fire back in the 90s.
Not on me.
About that.
Not on me.
You said not my ministry.
And short overalls with just one of the clips on, and I had like my hair was blown out and swooped over to the side.
I'm so done.
And yeah. So I'm trying, because this was a look that my mom had bought for me, and I'm trying to serve this look. And I remember as soon as I showed up, everybody in the family looked. Nobody said anything, and I knew exactly what. Nigga, you gay. You gay.
What is the way you styled it?
Well, the thing of it is I'm very conservative the way that I mean, I dress conservatively on the regular. So I never really have any like outlandish styles or whatever. So I don't think I ever pulled any of those as much as I wanted to lean into my heritage and wear like my crisscross jeans backwards and da-da. It never looked right on little old Dwan. So, but that was a moment where I was like, can't do this anymore.
And let me tell you one thing about black functions, they will let you know, okay? If you don't get if you get nothing but looks and no one says, "Oh, you look good" or "You look cute" or something, go home and change.
What were your shoes? I'm interested. What were the shoes?
I think it literally just had like tennis. I think it had like either a pair of Adidas or a pair of like Nikes or something like that. I mean, the shoes were the things that I was wearing was fine, but they needed to be on a different body. One that wasn't male and that had bangs.
It was the bang that you said.
It was the bang.
That you swooped over.
It was the bang.
It wasn't the no. I was like, this ain't it. I can't do this anymore. I Levi's and a polo shirt for me from now on.
I get it.
I actually just kind of gotten to wanting to like express myself more in style. And if I'm being honest, the photo shoot that we did together and looking for a white outfit really inspired me to want to find resources where I could buy clothes that just other people weren't wearing. And now I just want to live in that so much more, because I was always just, again, being an athlete, just jeans and t-shirts, because I'm tired. I'm not trying to have a lot of attention. But now I kind of like the idea of showing up in colors and, just stepping out and being like,
do you believe that when you put that extra effort in, do you feel like, because something had to have the saying of you look good, you feel good?
Yes, 1000%. I absolutely love it. And Corel, you asked that question, like celebrities who you look to. I don't really have a celebrity that I look to for style. I actually like to find a lot of influencers and people on like Instagram and TikTok that style things, like Wisdom K, who does like the style every country and stuff like that. And watching him throw all these things,
$125,000 outfit and the $125 outfit.
Right. Like, okay, I definitely got that money, but the idea of being like, okay, I can find other garments that at least fit that color palette, that kind of have that flow or that same vibe, and do it on a budget and be just as creative as well too. Yeah. And I think that's one thing I like about his account, that he will style something for like $100 and then also do something for like $25,000 at the same time. Yeah. So that's been someone that I've been liking a lot as of recently, and he's a black man too.
Yeah, no, I find my style ebbs and flows. Like I go through waves where I'm like, okay, I just literally want to be super comfortable, t-shirt, jeans, it is what it is. But then I'll sneak back up on your ass and show out. Be like, okay, I still got it in me, ho. It's just I'm super comfortable now that I don't have to express myself.
The gala at the Curiositea.
Oh yeah. I'll show up every once in a while and be like, I still got it in me, ho. But before we get out of here, we do a little segment called Curiosity with every guest that comes on, and it's a rapid fire, this or that, or your favorite or your top, whatever. So we'll start here. Coming to the stage is JMonroe. What song is playing?
Heated by Beyonce.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
Your favorite camera to shoot with? That part. Your favorite camera to shoot with? Mm-hmm.
The Canon EOS R5 with an 85mm L series lens.
I know that just sounds sexy. I don't even know what it looks like. It just sounds sexy.
Say Annie is.
Where's my baby? Yeah, I said, where's my baby at? There he is. There he is.
Yeah.
Hey.
The L series is the red bottom of lenses. That's how you know the red line.
Okay.
There we go. We're gonna have to get JMonroe to shoot us one of these days.
You might gotta make that happen.
Right.
We can go talk offline with that one.
That part. Beach or mountains?
Ooh, I'm single, so a mountain. If I was in a relationship, beach.
Wait, why is the distinction?
Wait.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I need to think. Can you break this down?
Because a mountain I can get away. If I'm going to a mountain, I feel like I'm trying to get away. I'm trying to see the views. I'm trying to get one with nature in itself. A beach gives. I'm trying to be laid up with my man
Okay.
I hear that.
on a beach in Cabo.
I hear that.
Look,
I'm not
trying to get some stain in them cheeks.
Ow.
I didn't say
that's
that, but I approve.
It was implied. Sorry, management.
I didn't say that, but I approve this message.
Yes, I did that part. After the camera app on your phone, what's your most used app?
I love you. The Hidden Album app.
Okay.
I know that's
I
right.
say the Hidden Album.
So I bet them pictures be fire.
I know that's right.
Look.
I mean, yeah, shameless plug. I'm a photographer. My nudes are A1. I'm not gonna
Look, I bet. People be
We seeing
questioning.
the
They be
thirst
sitting there
pictures you be
like,
putting on the stories. We
No,
we
baby,
know.
but you can only imagine. I'll say this: I'm gonna come out with a book one day when I have a significant other, and it's gonna be just like the sexy pictures that I've taken.
oh, like a tabletop book? Yes, absolutely.
That would be cute, though.
And baby,
That would be
Mhm.
cute. He said that, baby.
Mhm.
Do you have a favorite color combination when you're shooting?
oh, that's a great question. I do love shooting monochromatic. Just because I feel like it always reads very well, especially if it's a garment that's very extravagant. Just because I feel like it encapsulates it the most. So yeah, anything monochromatic. And if I have to pick a color, red. I love red monochromatic looks.
Okay.
I actually have a picture of a woman with titties, and it's like very monochromatic. And it's
You
just
said titties.
yeah.
Titties.
Let me see if I can find it real quick because I actually do
Yeah.
know where it is. It's like one of my favorite pictures, and I just retired it, meaning like I'm never gonna post it again.
Oh, okay.
really?
And that was actually going to lead me to the next question here. Do you have top 3 shots of all time that you've shot that you're like, damn, I did the damn thing on that?
Damn, that's hard to pick.
That's why.
It changes. It's because my work changes. And they really are all my babies. But I will say I have eras where I do have a favorite picture, and I can show y'all the 3 favorite pictures right now that I keep looking at because they're in my phone.
Yes.
This one is not out yet, so you're actually getting an exclusive. Like these are going to be in the magazine. And they're beautiful. Backstory: it's for 5 different designers all across the world, all African American, well, all Black. So South Africa, I think one was from East Africa, one lived in Spain, different locations. They asked me during Fashion Week to just shoot the model and the designer, and one of the looks, it was like this yellow dress. I'm trying to find it, and it was just so.
It was everything.
Beautiful. Here it is.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes,
that's my favorite color,
baby.
so I'm
just
That
really
looks
drawn to that.
great.
Right now, this is one of my favorites. This is one
Community,
of
you
my
got to see this on
favorites.
YouTube. Hop on over to YouTube if you ain't subscribed. Now's a good time to subscribe.
Another
gorgeous
one right now. I love the one that I showcased at my art show recently. It's called a Dance Miss Thing, and I'll actually give y'all the prompt too, just because the prompt is just as important as the photo. Because this was like a segue, shameless plug, to my art show February 1st, 2025.
There we go.
The first Saturday of Black History Month.
Yes.
There we go.
There it is. This is the photo. Like, I love this picture.
Oh, I love that.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yes.
Come on, look, I'm ready to dance.
And I'll read y'all the prompt. It's called Dance Miss Thing, and it's the grand finale of my collection, celebrating 100 years of evolution from 1924's golden era to the brilliance of 2024. Inspired by the lively spirit of Harlem Renaissance, this photo captures the energy and the style and liberation of the modern-day female. Dressed in a detailed vintage-inspired French dress, the model strikes powerful dance poses that evoke a sense of empowerment. The title Dance Miss Thing is a nod to the phrase that once encouraged and uplifted both women and gay men, now transformed into a symbol of strength and pride for women leading the charge in various fields, much like Kamala Harris in the political sphere. This piece highlights how Black people in general are stepping into spaces of influence with grace and power and unapologetic self-expression. Capturing the spirit of today's boss lady, it also speaks to how I currently find myself in my self-expression. That's like one of my favorites right now.
I love that.
Yeah.
Dance Miss Thing.
incredible. Yeah.
And you get the Harlem Renaissance of it all, but also very modern.
And
Yes.
the waves. I know Jarrell
It
likes
was
it.
really red. I'm old, never mind. I ain't getting in trouble. Y'all
Yeah.
really cool with him.
Yeah.
Well,
I ain't trying to
He
get
about
crazy,
to come
bro.
off mute. He about
he
to
ain't doing nothing. He can't do nothing. We got you, boo.
Right. You say that. You're real crazy.
That's true.
And then this is, I would say, yeah, this is the picture I've been looking at recently too a lot. And it's actually not, well, you said my picture.
Well, if this
This one of my
inspires you.
favorite that I really, really love. No, actually, this is a picture that I always go back to. And I actually shot this a long time ago.
Yeah.
I shot this in 2017.
Oh, bitch, that's a cool.
Wow, the lighting.
I was
Oh.
25 when I shot this.
I
I was
love
26 when I shot this.
And
Maybe
I
that-
told you this like when we first met you. The way you shoot black people, not
Baby.
everybody has that skill.
Yeah.
And your the sense of just colors, not everybody has that skill. And I don't say that to everybody. Because like when we did our photos, that was like the first thing all three of us always say. We're like, they gotta be able to shoot black people because like it's a skill. It's a skill and it's an eye that not everybody has. So every photo I see of yours, I'm like, he just gets lighting and black people.
Yeah.
So thank you. Seriously,
I appreciate it. I
it'd
really
be driving me
you
nuts.
saying that. I pride myself literally on black skin, and I think it's so beautiful to that point because everybody's shade is different. Literally, even the shades that you think are similar, everybody's shade is completely different.
Yes.
And so when I'm shooting these photos, to your point, I am being just as intentional with the skin as I am with everything else because to your point, that's a reflection of the light that's in you.
Yes.
And we literally absorb and don't you give me my photography bag. That's a whole nother conversation. I get straight gay me and the photography me are totally different for sure.
I love
Look,
it. Though.
he got me
I
over here
love
want to be like crisscrossing nude photos, like.
But to that point, yeah, and this is just a nod. This is honestly what I
Just my
want.
titty. Ooh.
I always wanted to show black skin in a way that it's just pure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
you do it.
and it's similar to like a diamond. It's so precious, it's so valuable, but you have to cut it, you have to polish it for it to be exactly what it is, valuable.
Yeah.
So that's what I really do when I'm.
I love us. Yes, you're right.
It's up there with like we say this about Issa Rae shows. That's like your shit is up there to me like that because that was her
really?
shows light black people phenomenally well,
Yeah.
and your shots invoke that as well to me. At least personally, I think that. So, let's see here. You used to be a broadcast journalist.
Yeah.
Who's your Rushmore of just journalists?
Robin
So that's
Roberts,
four.
Robin Roberts, Don Lemon, TJ Holmes, and Don Lemon.
You said so. Don Lemon twice.
Don Lemon, TJ Holmes, Robin Roberts, and another reporter. No, what's their name? I actually would say they're not they have to have a degree in journalism because technically those are all journalists.
Yeah,
Some of them are not.
I mean-
I have one more that that's not a journalist, but I do watch her every day. Whoopi Goldberg.
There we go. I mean,
I
she's
agree.
a journalist at this point. Are you
Yeah.
kidding me?
I love watching her on The View.
Well, sometimes she
Yeah.
gets too opinionated, and that's just being honest as a reporter. You can't get too opinionated.
Yeah,
So-
but I
it's
feel like
alright.
that's just
But
that
I
age.
do
I feel like
love
that's that auntie age because I see those moments too. I'd be like, that's the auntie
Yeah.
age, and she like,
Yeah, you
I
can tell
know
when
what
she
I
don't
said.
care.
Right.
Yeah, you can
That-
tell
oh, God,
when she do
yeah.
not care. But there's moments where that.
Yeah.
But if I do want to give a nod and a flower to actually because there was at one point like black reporters only made up less than 10% of the industry. So I do want to try to pull in a reporter. Let's say. He actually's from Tulsa. I forgot his name. He's on CNN now. He replaced. Dang it! I should know it. He's from Tulsa. I feel bad now. Oh well.
That's all right.
We have to
Him
find
up.
them.
We'll look him up.
Yeah.
Kit Kat or Reese's?
Reese's.
Okay. M&M or Sour
Yeah.
Patch Kids?
Sour Patch Kids.
Okay. Vintage or new?
Right now I'm in my vintage era.
Okay. Who's your diva of choice?
What kind of diva? There's different kind of divas. Nah,
I mean,
this is
musical
too
diva.
loaded of a question. Diva
What's that,
kind of
musical diva?
vocalist, entertainer. There's different levels of divaness.
Who you listen to where you're like, that's my diva of choice? Y'all better not say anything. The community knows ours is Beyonce. So
I
who
mean,
is yours?
that's what I'm saying. It's Beyonce.
Okay,
But that's it.
okay, we just
But again,
checking.
also the crazy thing is, I don't even consider when people say these questions. I don't consider Beyonce
Yeah.
because she's Beyonce.
Oh,
She's
you right
Beyonce.
on that. You right
She
on
is
that.
Beyonce. Now there are divas, then there's Beyonce.
You right.
I agree.
You're absolutely right. On
Agree.
Because
So-
but then she also doesn't act like a diva in that term. If you talking
Right.
about divas, I know a diva, and I love the way they act. Mariah Carey, the way her divaness,
That. That's the Wan's girl.
her divaness is just diva.
And it's deserved.
You're right.
Yeah.
No
I mean,
lie,
look at the receipts.
no shade.
Look at the receipts. Look at the receipts.
It's deserved.
Her vocabulary
You're right.
is vast.
Absolutely. Indubitably.
You're right. Indubitably. And she be singing that shit, making you sound good. You're like,
Right.
damn,
What she
that's a
saying?
big ass word.
It's 30 songs. I'd be like, what's she saying? Christine with Caution, she said a word in the Caution album. I said, what? Mariah,
She be just
girl.
doing
Oh,
that
she'll
shit. She
drop
be
a
dropping
gem.
Webster?
She will
gems.
drop a gem in almost every single, almost
She
Every
calling us
damn
stupid
song.
on the low.
Yeah.
She literally calling us
Low-key.
stupid on the low.
You right. She saying y'all ain't shit.
And y'all gonna make this number one song and I don't even know what the word means.
right.
That. Well, Monroe, we'll get you out of here. We enjoy you. You know your
that was
family.
quick.
I know. I mean, you can say
Yeah.
we can do a two-parter if we
I
want
thought
to.
we were saying. I literally told my people. I was like, listen, I'm here. Like, we making this happen. I'm here.
I know.
And at this point, I'm up. Yeah, I was sleepy, but now I'm like, y'all done got me up.
I see
We
it
does
happens
have that
every
effect
time.
on people,
The
though.
podcast would do it.
Would do it.
Honestly.
That's what he said. Doom, you got me up.
Ow, ow, ow. Oh, it doesn't have to always be sexual, Monroe.
Says these two over here.
Anyway, where can they find you and tout anything that's coming up? You already
Yes.
touted like an exhibit that's coming up in February. Remind them where to find you and where to go to support you.
Yes, you can follow me on Instagram at JMonroe. It's JMNROE, no O between the M and the N because someone took it on Instagram. You can follow me
Damn.
also Straight Gay TV. If you guys are interested in purchasing shirts, I'm dropping my shirts tomorrow officially. My Skin is
Okay.
Black being released. It's actually this image right behind us.
Share
Also,
the link.
speaking of the
Share the
image.
link.
Yep, share the link
Yep.
and we'll
I'll
post
be
that.
first.
We
to
will.
buy.
And they're only $35, so you guys know. These prints are also available on my website. $500 for a simple canvas, 24 by 36.
Okay.
And that is a
and-
nice size piece of
Yeah.
art.
We're only selling these canvases for a limited time. They're capsule collection, so you'll be getting first edition prints. And when I stop selling them, they will be
That's
worth
it.
more one day.
There
Yes,
we go. I
ma'am.
know that's right. I
Yes,
know that's
ma'am.
right.
Anything else I'm promoting? I mean, I have a lot going on.
Did you
I'm
say
trying-
something in
those are the two
February?
percent. Yes. Oh, yes. In the art show. The art show that I had last week was only 9 pieces, but the art show I'm doing next year, February 1st, you guys will be on the VIP list. It's going to be a red carpet.
Oh,
It's
we'll
going
be
to
there.
be big. It's going to
Okay.
be
We'll be
large.
there.
We are going to be showcasing 35 plus exclusive photos that you guys have never seen, all inspired by the Harlem Renaissance.
I love
Yes.
that.
All right.
I love it. I love
February
Yeah.
1st, y'all. We put that in the
Community.
calendar.
February
Please,
1st.
I'll
That's
be
the
there.
first
New York.
Saturday.
Add this to the
First
dance
Saturday of Black
card.
History
Okay,
Month.
right.
Yes.
Love.
Right. So, if you're on your phone, put it on the Minority Report calendar, please.
Yeah, I'm doing it right now.
It's
Thank
like,
you,
no, when I
Boo.
say it's about to be a time, because the last one was also just a time, and it was a key. I'll tell you about that off camera.
Dope.
Okay.
I know. We want the inside scoop. But community, please be sure to support him. Monroe's such a gem of a person.
Yes.
Like every time we see him, it's just like
My face lights
it's
up.
like it's just family. It literally is like we saw him at Culture Con. We're like, oh shit! I saw him with that hat on. I'm like, okay, come in here styling and profiling. I know that's right, boo. I know that's
The thing
right.
is, I be act like I want to be seen, but I really don't be wanting to be seen. It's like one of those things like I want to be seen when I want to be seen, but I don't want to be seen.
Right. That outfit said you
From a
wanted to see me.
distance.
Stop
Like,
playing.
you see me, but you don't see me. Like,
I just want to be normal.
There ain't nothing normal, and to be proud about it.
There we go.
That's why I say I don't want to be normal. I got gifts that are distinctly mine.
Ooh,
Here's what it
First off,
is.
don't preach. Amen. Can I actually share a sermon? Can I share y'all one of my notes from the sermon that I went to church with on Saturday? It was really,
Yeah,
really
absolutely.
good. I've been sharing it.
yes.
Yeah.
It was for here it is. Where is it go? No thanks. There it goes. Oh, these are my poems. No. Church, this is one of my favorite notes from church. Great people always face opposition from mediocre minds. I'm going to say that one more
Amen.
time.
Where my
Great
tambourine
people
at?
always face opposition from
It's
mediocre
true.
minds.
Absolutely.
Clarify and visualize your dream. Once you have clarifying vision, align your actions with your intentions. You cannot have a dream and not align your actions.
And on that note, wash your hands, your legs, and your ass. See you next week. Thank you.
Bye, y'all.
Bye, y'all.
A whole ass word.
That's-
Sorry, Jesus. I should be
Yes.
cussing on the sermon, but damn.
No,
Damn.
sometimes you got to let it out.
Hey,
Amen.
Seriously,
Look.
damn.
He didn't seen your
That's
shit.
a word.
Ain't nothing wrong with having a little curse word every once in a while.
I be talking to Jesus the way I talk to y'all. I do. We
Look.
be having cool ass conversations.
Jesus!
Hey, community. A lot of you have asked how you can support Minority Report outside of the sharing and downloading and subscribing and leaving reviews. But you can also buy merch. Come on, baby.
I know that's right. And we have a whole lot of options, from clothing to pillows to tumblers and bags. And we continue to update all of our stuff with new styles, new colors, and new products. Jarrell, where can they get all that stuff at?
Well, they can get all that and then some at minorietyreport.com. They can find all the goodies, find out additional information about your aunties. And we also want to make sure that you share and tag us when you do buy merch, all right? So let us know if it's a hoodie, it's a tee, a long shirt, a towel, because we know you need those. But let us know.
Absolutely. And remember to wash your hands, your legs, and your ass.